is Smart Consulting Sourcing, the only podcast about consulting procurement or how to buy consulting services. You'll get tips on how to use consulting, buy consulting, and managing the consulting. And now your host, Helene Lafitte.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Smart Consulting Sourcing, the only podcast about consulting procurement. I'm Helene, your guide on this journey called How to Buy Consulting Services Like a Pro. Together, we'll explore my insider knowledge and help you master the ins and outs of the consulting procurement world. In today's episode, we'll be talking about how to find the right consulting firm for your project. But first, let's take a quick trip down memory lane and recap what we learned last week. So last week, we unraveled the mystery of consulting DNA markers and discovered how to find the perfect consulting supplier for your business. We learned that it's all about value, not just price, and that understanding a consultant's capability, industry expertise, and geographic footprint is crucial. Also, credibility is key, and it comes from brand recognition, thought leadership, and partner profiles. We also emphasize the importance of the delivery model and seniority of your consultants. But the cherry on top was our reminder that consulting project can be a Rubik's Cube of cultural differences. So finding consultants who understand the local culture and language is essential. In a nutshell, creating your consulting DNA profile and finding your match is like online dating, but for business. You know what they say, it takes time and patience to find the one. And just like in the dating world, the first candidate you come across might not be your perfect match. So keep swiping through those consulting firms until you find the right fit. If you happen to miss our previous episode, we highly recommend starting there. We're following a chronological journey through the consulting project sourcing process. So listening to the episodes in order really helps you get the most out of our insights. Don't worry though, we've got you back. You can find all our other episodes on Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube for easily listening. And if you prefer to read along, the full transcript are available on the thought leadership section at consultingquest.com. So now that we're all caught up, let's dive into today's topic, finding the right consulting firm for your project. Now, let's be honest. Finding the perfect match with the ideal consulting DNA can feel like searching for a needle in a haystack. But there's good news because we're here to guide you through the process. Let's start with a real life example. Imagine a small IT company based in Tunisia looking to break in the fintech market. So let's break down the 6 markers this IT company has identified for their potential consulting suppliers. First, they're looking for capability. They want a provider with experience in market entry or growth strategy, which is crucial for their expansion into the fintech market. Second, industry is key. They need a consulting firm with a broad knowledge of the fintech industry and the ability to understand both major trends internationally and regionally. Third, they're considering the consulting firm's footprint. You know, they prefer a company based in either North Africa or Europe in order to reduce additional expenses and gain access to top-notch expertise. Fourth, budget is a concern. They have a limited budget, so they're looking for an independent consultant or a small boutique to fit their financial constraints. Fifth, they're focused on delivery model. They want a high-level strategic approach that focuses both internal and external political aspects, and also provides an opportunity for their team to learn more about the fintech industry. And finally, the 6th marker is culture. They're seeking consultants who are fluent in either Arabic or French and have experience working in North Africa to ensure a seamless collaboration with their teams. So, right, we've identified all markers, but we're not quite ready to start a search just yet, Finding the perfect match might be rare, but it's the best starting point for our search. Now comes the time for prioritization. Project sponsors and managers need to make some important decisions about what matters most to them. Is it skills over industry knowledge? Or maybe culture over footprint? Or perhaps budget over skills? It's by understanding the priority of each dimension that you'll be able to narrow down your list of potential suppliers. So armed with your markers and priority levels for each dimension, you can create an ideal consulting DNA profile for your project. And this profile will serve you as the North Star, guiding you to the right consulting firm for your unique needs. All right, folks. Now that we've got our ideal consulting DNA profile in hand, it's time to start a search for the perfect consulting firm. But where do we begin, you ask? Well, let's take a step back and look at our internal resources first. It can be tempting to jump straight into sourcing external consultants, but let's pause for a moment and perform a little make or buy assessment for your project. Don't worry, it'll be quick. Ask yourself this question. Can this project be done in-house? Do we have the internal resources? Do we need external knowledge? Is there any confidential IP involved? Can the project be partially outsourced? So all these questions are especially relevant if you have internal consulting or improvement and excellence teams. Now that we've considered our internal resources, let's move on to finding the right sources for a consulting hunt. There are several internal and external sources you can tap into. Let me walk you through them. For internal sources, first check if your company has a list of preferred providers, an internal database of consulting firms, or a curated list of firms in your field. Second, don't hesitate to tap into your networking colleagues who have previously worked with consultants, as they might have valuable recommendations or even warnings. And finally, see if you have access to a database of evaluation reports or previous bids that could provide also insightful information. Now, as for external sources, you can start by consulting a directory of consulting firms, such as Improveo.app, which organizes firms by region, capability, and industry served. Another great idea is to read articles and books related to your field of interest, as they can often highlight leading consulting firms. And by the way, Improveo.app does that too, and they offer a curated and searchable thought leadership library. Don't forget to look for professional association in your industry or the capability you need, and they might have directories or recommended firms. And last but not least, turn to your trusty search engine, whether it's Google, Quant, Bing, or DuckDuckGo, to uncover even more potential consulting firms. Now that you've got all this fantastic information, what do you do with it? Well, your first step is to build a preliminary list of potential providers. Keep in mind that the size of your project will impact the length of your list. For example, if you're sourcing a mid-sized project and want to prepare 3 potential providers, you should include roughly 10 to 15 companies in your initial search. As a rule of thumb, expect that 30% of these companies might not have the right consulting DNA profile when you look closer, while another 30% may not be available or even interested in your project. To create your list, define your search criteria based on the ideal consulting DNA profile. Let's revisit our first example, another fintech project in Tunisia. You must start by casting a wide net to get a sense of the market, looking for small consulting firms under 50 employees, capability and strategy, industry focused on financial services or fintech, and location in Europe or North Africa. So if you find that you have way too many results to process, you need to increase the granularity of your criteria. But if the length of your list is consistent with your goal, you can move to the next phase, taking a closer look at each firm's characteristic to ensure they have the right profile. Because let's face it, many consulting firms claim they're expert in all capabilities and industries, but their track records often tell a different story. To get a better sense of their true expertise, dig into case studies and past projects posted on their websites. Also, don't forget to screen their past clients. Who are they? What do they do? Also, the background of the founders and the leadership team can be excellent indicators of the company's primary focus, particularly for small players. Now, most consulting firms will detail their mission and approach in brochure on their website. That is where you can learn about who they are and how they do their job. Are they focusing on high-level strategy or more on implementation consulting? Do they lean more towards hard or soft aspects? Are they lifelong consultants or former executives? All of these elements will help you paint a picture of each consulting firm and determine how well they fit with your company and your project. All right, folks, we're down to the final step in building your list of consulting firms for your project, spotting the right partners. Now, this is crucial. You don't want to just contact anyone in the consulting firm, especially the larger ones. You see, every partner has a unique range of skills and experience, and they can have a significant impact on your project. Most consulting firms are organized by practices based on either industry experience or capability, sometimes even both. They might even have the leadership team listed on their website with contact information. And if not, you can always turn to LinkedIn to spot the partners and check out their profiles. Now, here's a little secret weapon for you: thought leadership. Search for articles or white papers on the topic of your project. Most consulting firms list the name and often contact information of the authors in this document. Double check their current position on the internet, LinkedIn, for instance, to ensure you've got the right company. Because let me tell you, the turnover in consulting is like a worldwide. You might already be one firm behind. By doing this, you'll probably end up adding a few more consulting firms to your list. So at this point, you should have a list of consulting firms that, at least on paper, have the right people with the right skills in the right place. Your next mission, should you choose to accept it, is to connect with them personally to gauge their interest and capabilities. But folks, that's all for this episode. But fear not, next week we'll dive into how to connect with these consulting firms and assess their interest and capabilities in person. And emphasis here, check their references. You won't want to miss it. So what are the key takeaways from today's episode? First, define your consulting DNA markers and prioritize them based on your project unit needs to create an ideal consulting DNA profile that will guide your search for the perfect consulting firm. When necessary, perform a short make or buy assessment to determine whether your project can be done in-house or require external consulting support. Tap into various internal sources, such as your company's preferred provider list, consulting databases, and colleagues who have worked with consultants before. Don't forget to check evaluation reports or previous bids for additional insights. You can also use external sources like consulting directory, for instance, in Proveo.app, articles and books related to your field, professional association, and search engine, Google, Quant, DuckDuckGo, Bing, etc., to broaden your search. Identify the right partners within consulting firms, considering that each partner has a different range of skills and experience that can impact your project. Use tools like LinkedIn and thought leadership curated list to spot partners and evaluate their expertise. So by following these steps, you'll have a solid list of potential consulting firms that match your ideal consulting DNA profile. Next week, I'll be back with even more insights to help you in your search for the perfect consulting firm. You won't want to miss it. I'll be sharing tips on how to connect with consulting firms, assess their interest and capabilities, and more importantly, check their references. So be sure to tune in. Till then, stay safe and happy sourcing. And you have any questions regarding to this topic or any consulting procurement related topic, actually, you can contact me directly on LinkedIn or by email because I'm always game for a chat. Bye and see you next week. Au revoir.
You've been listening to Smart Consulting Sourcing, the only podcast about consulting procurement. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, hit the website at consultingquest.com. find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. For questions and comments, send an email to ellen.lafitte@consultingquest.com. See you next time.